All right, I'm gonna start with the intro. This should probably take like, I don't know, 15 minutes. You laughing?
No, I'm just smiling.
It's a sus-ass smile. All right, here we go. Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have Champ Crypto here. He's one of the most well-known NFT influencers in this space. And today we're just going to be chopping it up, having a conversation about what we see in this space. We're even going to be talking about some projects we like, and we'll even cover the future of the NFT space. So Champ, what is up, my guy?
What's going on, Amir? Champ Crypto here, AKA NFT Steve Jobs, AKA Strawberry Cake Pop. What's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Champ. Thank you so much. We have the NFT Steve Jobs here. He claims he's the Steve Jobs, but he's like the Samsung of the NFT space. So what we're going to start off with is obviously how you got into NFTs. Like, where did all this start? How did you become a billionaire overnight?
Don't say shit like that and expect me not to laugh. It. All right, go ahead.
So what we're going to start off with here is how Champ got into the NFT space, and we're going to talk about how he got to where he is now. So Champ, if you want to start off with how the heck you found out about NFTs.
I'm so glad you've asked. Sure thing. So back in August, a good friend of mine who I had been collaborating with in totally unrelated creative affairs, you might have heard of him before. His name is The Brett Way on Twitter. I had flown Brett out actually to shoot a music video of mine, because what some people don't know is that I was actually an artist and a creative before I ventured into Web3. Brett was also a music video director or a general cinematographer back in the day. I had flown Brett out. We had spent the whole weekend messing around, shooting this video, and all weekend we had been talking about NFTs. Now, I was familiar with NFTs prior to this point. I knew a little bit about the technology, but I hadn't fully taken the dive headfirst in. By the time Brett left that weekend, he had convinced me to purchase my very first NFT, which is a Doge Pound NFT. And I had planted the seed for him to go ahead and quit his job and pursue Web3 full time. Fast forward 6 months, you can see where we have both ended up in the space. And following that initial purchase, I'd really just fallen in love with NFTs in general. I had bought my first NFT, a Doge Pound NFT, for I want to say about 0.74 ETH. I woke up the next day and it was sitting at around 1.1, 1.2. So I had bought something on the internet with what at the time was actually about a third of my net worth. I had woken up a few $1,000s richer, which at the time was like half my monthly salary and a really large amount of money to me. And I realized very quickly that there was a massive opportunity here to change my living situation if I put my head down and educated myself on how to navigate these markets. I spent the next 6 months or so deeply immersing myself in the NFT market. I would literally wake up, go to work, and from the time I got off work to when I went to sleep, I was literally just studying the NFT market, trading NFTs, learning about Web3. That turned into doing it basically while I was at work and not at work. It became honestly a huge passion of mine. I was able to achieve quite a bit of personal success trading those markets, sort of akin to how I believe Amir came up in the space, how someone like Kosher and a lot of these other successful influencers came up. And that's sort of how the passion developed for me. But at a certain point of personally trading these markets, I began to develop a desire to create something of my own or to do something bigger or quote unquote more important. I wanted to create something that impacted other individuals, and I wanted to figure out a way to extrapolate those lessons that I had learned onto a larger, more collaborative business model. And it didn't necessarily start out as an NFT collection. I actually just started posting on Twitter, posting videos on YouTube. The audience ball began to roll. And very quickly, I realized the best way to build a community would be to launch my own collection. And things really just snowballed from there. Now I sit across from Amir Hussein, who I believe when I had about 900 followers, probably had over 100,000 already. So it has been an amazing journey thus far. And I'm happy to be here, dude.
Yes. So Champ, you are one of the fastest growing people I've probably ever seen in this space. You've came up really quick and you've done some pretty impressive things with Champs Only. So obviously you are the founder of that project. It's been out for a few months now and it's performed exceptionally well. So I really do want to tap on Champs Only because I feel like a lot of project founders can gain some insight about launching an NFT project. So one of the questions I had for you was, what are your long-term plans for Champs Only and where do you see it going?
That's a great question. And that's honestly sort of the question and thought process that occupies the vast majority of my day, every day right now. The vision and the goal for Champs Only is to become, essentially the NFT version of one of the companies that survived the .com bubble back around that time. I think I told you that on our last call. And the larger goal is to become essentially the largest all-encompassing NFT education brand in the space. What I mean by that is that I want Champs Only to be what people can go to go from knowing essentially nothing about the NFT space and being totally new to familiarizing themselves with Web3 to being a successful trader, creator, whatever it is that they want to be, essentially become the best version of themselves in NFT land. Of course, that started with an alpha group and an alpha pass, because the biggest gap in knowledge and largest unfulfilled desire that I saw was individuals learning how to successfully trade the NFT market. That was the initial offering. The pass will always be the central, most beneficial, and I guess VIP offering that exists in Champs Only. But without revealing too many specifics that will actually be announced pretty soon, I plan to branch off our offerings in quite a few ways that will expand our ecosystem without diluting that initial pass. And I always plan on rolling value back to those initial holders as a thank you, of course, to those people who have invested in me early. But I think probably sort of akin to what you want to do with Dark Echelon, Amir, the goal is, of course, to turn Champs Only into an internationally recognizable Web3 brand as fast as we can.
Yes, Champ, I think that was a great answer. And I really like with where you're bringing Champs Only. I see you've done great things. And obviously with my project too, Dark Echelon, we have a very similar vision to just be one of those top Web3 companies that are constantly striving and innovating and constantly scaling. So with that being said, we're obviously going to see a lot of these alpha groups or proclaimed alpha groups and projects promise a lot of things, but they have no structure and they've never shown any delivery. And obviously with our projects, Dark Echelon and Champs Only, there's been lots of proven delivery, lots of happy people. And obviously I feel like it's one of the best ways to gain education on the NFT space. And it's probably one of the more reliable ways because there's a lot of saturation on education and how to trade and all these different things. And I think going into one of these proven and structured groups is a really great way to get your feet going. And then also a great way to really know what a real community feels like. So obviously, Champ, those are my thoughts on that. And obviously that's a great answer. And now my next question is something that a lot of people are curious about. A lot of people consider this alpha. So my question is, what is the easiest way, in your opinion, to make money in the NFT space?
It depends on what your goals are. I'll say this. I think that there's sort of a natural evolution of how people who stick around and are successful in NFTs sort of works, right? So whenever you are brand new and you have essentially no experience in NFTs, in Web3, I think that the best thing to do is to actually remain patient and simply familiarize yourself with the space and begin learning how to make small, successful trades. Because if we're being honest, of course, one of the main drivers towards participating in NFTs is individuals' desire to make larger amounts of money, like they see advertised, they want to buy the next Bored Ape, etc. And that dream does kind of get sold by Web3 individuals to Web2 individuals, whether you like it or not. In my opinion, historically large asymmetric upside from a profit perspective when participating in NFTs. But I think the easiest way to begin achieving success is to start small, right? Find a couple people that you trust and begin studying their trades. Find influencers that you trust, that you think are providing earnest content, not trying to make a buck off of their followers, and learn what they look for in projects. If you can afford it, make the initial investment into one or two tools, like an IC Tools. You can even use the free version of these tools, but begin learning about the market, watching what makes a project good, watching what makes a project bad. Sure. So I think the answer here is kind of twofold. Whenever you are brand new to the NFT space and beginning to immerse yourself, I think that one good way to get your feet wet and begin generating profits is definitely learning to successfully flip and trade the NFT market. Now, obviously at this point in the game, there are a lot of different resources you can use to educate yourself on how to do this. You and I run groups dedicated specifically, essentially to educating people on how to do this. Of course, if you're just starting out and you don't necessarily have ETH to spend, a good place to start, in my opinion, is to familiarize yourself, a group of individuals to follow on Twitter who you trust, to have the best intentions. It can be difficult to figure out where to start with these folks. And honestly, a good way to start can actually be to go look at folks like myself or Amir, if you just know one or two people in the space, see who we follow. and sort of begin to get a sense for NFT Twitter and who the trusted individuals in the community are. You do have to spend a little bit of time, but if you spend some time browsing for a while, it's not too hard to get a sense of a couple individuals to follow who can point you in the right direction. From that point onwards, it's your job to begin looking at NFT projects, checking out their website, looking at the roadmap, and learning to distinguish a good project from a bad project. I'm not going to go into the minutia of how to discover good versus bad projects in this video. There's tons of content on both of our channels dedicated to how to do that. But whenever you're newer, I think that one of the simpler and easier ways to begin generating profit in NFTs is simply to learn how to successfully flip projects. However, where in my opinion, the real life-changing opportunities are, and what I'm passionate about is, of course, creating and building in the NFT space. I believe that moving from flipping NFTs to building in the space is typically the natural progression for individuals who stick around for a while in the space and realize that flipping NFT projects is really just making money off the backs of other people's success. And while it might sound pretty general, the best way to figure out what you want to build in the Web3 space is to spend some time in the Web3 space, in NFTs, and figure out what's missing that you think needs to be created. It's all about filling gaps and leveraging any connections or reputation that you've built to build a community around the solutions that you create. Now, there are a couple ways to begin creating connections in the Web3 space. Of course, a lot of people elect to mod for projects that they enjoy. While it does get talked about all the time, I actually think this is a pretty good way to begin building rep in the NFT space. On top of that, I actually think that a very underrated network tool is literally just VC in Discords. If we look back at a project like Magic Mushroom Clubhouse, one that was founded by the Brett Way that I was actually a smaller co-founder for as well, there are probably 10 to 12 people who are now medium to well-known figures in the NFT space who were literally found by Brett or myself in that VC just by hanging out and being in Discord. There's an immense amount of value to be found in simply spending time in Discords and engaging in actual value-adding conversations. Now, of course, there will also be a lot of conversations in Discord that are largely useless, but if you learn to sniff out folks who align with your values and who seem to also be looking to build something in the space, I've never seen a tool like Discord when it comes to uniting like-minded people on the internet in a flash. For example, my head dev and community lead, Rev, the way that I met him was literally that the day after my mint, he came onto one of my AMAs, kept requesting to speak till I accepted it, got on stage and goes, "Hey, I DM'd you on Twitter. You didn't DM you back. I know you wanted bots made. You posted about this one bot. So I went ahead and made it. Hop in a VC with me so I can show you." He showed me. I was blown away. I was like, wow, this dude means business. And now he's literally an integral part of Champs Only. So I would simply encourage you to put yourself out there, find projects whose values you align with, meet like-minded people, and figure out what gap you guys want to fill. Of course, when creating a project, you have to find and fill those gaps. So to summarize, my biggest advice to make life-changing money in NFTs is, of course, familiarize yourself with the market, learn how to successfully trade, but moreover, put yourself out there, be willing to meet people and discover what those needs are that are yet to be unfulfilled in such a new and fresh industry, and figure out if you can come together with like-minded people to create something that can be monetized to vastly change your current financial situation.
Yeah, so those are great answers. And obviously, as you see, Champ didn't say like, hey, you're going to win the lottery overnight, or like, hey, you're just going to become a millionaire within 2 weeks. Like, that's not what we're saying. Obviously, as you can see, it's those general basic steps that you need to take, putting in work, being smart while you're putting in the work, and you will see progress and you will see results as long as you're doing the right things and taking the right steps. So going on to my next question, what are the categories of NFTs that you're going to be looking at for the longer term or the next couple of months?
NFTs that actually do something. I think that as NFTs evolve and this industry becomes more mature, there'll be more and more appetite for NFTs that have interesting utility. Now, utility has been used essentially as a buzzword since the NFT began to really heat up. I think when most people think of the word utility, they think about staking to earn a token or whitelist marketplace, both of which, when executed correctly, just for the record, can be great utility. But moreover, I mean projects that have an actual plan for functionality that are being executed by people who take their business seriously and who, like Amir said in the video we put on my channel yesterday, are willing to put in the time and the effort and treat their NFT project like a startup business, because that's exactly what it is. I'm not here calling for the death of the profile picture project. I actually think that profile picture projects with a purpose that do cool things that have unique benefits definitely have legs under them. And to be totally fair, there are projects whose utility are a super, super strong brand. We can look at Doodles, right? We can look at the most famous NFT in the world, Bored Ape Yacht Club. We can look at Azuki, right? We can look at these projects that are doing very well despite simply essentially being art projects. And that's because brand is utility in these cases. The same reason that people are willing to pay $1,200 for a Balenciaga sweatshirt. The same reason that people are willing to pay $500,000 for a car instead of $10,000 whenever it's taking them from the same point A to point B. It's about status, right? It's about brand recognition. And that's a behavior that will definitely not go away. To the contrary, I actually think that social signaling is going to become even more important as we move into an increasingly digital environment. But I think that moving forward for projects that are simply profile picture projects to survive, they're going to have incredibly strong brand and be executed by an incredibly focused and visionary team. Outside of that, I'm always scouring the market for projects that I think have unique and innovative utility. As you can tell by my project, by someone like Amir's project, we are very focused on simply providing utility and NFTs just being the vehicle. I think that we'll continue to see new and interesting use cases for NFTs that don't even exist yet. But overall, I'm really looking for an evolution and a maturation of what the market expects as the bare minimum of an NFT to provide, which will, I believe, naturally happen as the market becomes more saturated anyway. And I will be happy to give a couple examples of collections that I think are going to do a good job of this here as we get into the next question. But yeah.
So obviously, with that being said, a lot of what Champ is saying is brand adaptability from the mass public, or if the project's branding itself is not up to par with some of these other top tier brands, it's not going to expand to where it needs to be. And obviously, a lot of these projects that are art-based, a lot of where their floor price is coming from is market adoption, people liking the brand, people seeing other people liking the brand, and they want to be a part of it. They're betting on the future of the brand and where it can possibly go, even though they're not getting passive income, they're not getting free access to like a boat or a yacht. They're not getting any of that. They're just believing in the brand. They're believing in the future of the team. And that's where a lot of these art-based projects are going. And obviously for myself, I'm going to bet on interactive NFTs. I'm going to bet on utility-based NFTs. I'm going to bet even on music NFTs, which I know Champ is very big on himself. So there's just many different topics to where a lot of people are going to be pushing out in this NFT space within the next couple months or the next couple of years. And obviously you just have to watch the market as it goes, because I'm promising you guys one thing is that this market's going to change a lot every single month. And from the looks of it, it looks like Champ wants to say something. I think it's about the music NFTs. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, I'm just glad you brought that up. I am very, very passionate about the future of music NFTs. And those are the types of use cases that I'm interested in, right? These industries that are essentially untapped by what Web3 and what NFT technology can bring when it comes to decentralized, publicly verifiable ownership, when it comes to interactions between public figures and their followers or their fans on a much deeper level. I'm very excited about a lot of that. That's why you see me participating in something like Smiley Electric with Colin Tilley, but that's a topic for another video. With that said, Amir, I think you wanted me, and I think that the people will want me to talk about maybe a couple of upcoming projects that I'm looking at while we're on the topic of NFTs that I'm looking forward to.
Yes. So with that being said, Champ, thank you for leading the way there. What are some of the top upcoming projects that you personally like and that you personally think could possibly perform well? So if you just want to start with that. Yes, the moon. Or no, we're not financial advisors. We don't know anything about anything.
Not financial advice. All right, cool. I'm going to go rapid fire here. Well, Amir, the first project that I'm going to talk about today is one that is still relatively under the radar, but has been growing very, very fast in the past couple of days. I spoke about it the other day on my YouTube, and that's going to be Isekai Meta. Now, if you go to Isekai Meta's Twitter and read the tagline, it says, "This space moves very fast. We intend to create a place where you can slow down," which is obviously nice. But moreover, if you go check out some of their content on Twitter, you'll see that they are already doing a really good job of establishing a consistent and very high quality brand image with the art that they're creating. And another thing that I really like about this project is this is actually the first project that I've seen target a Ghibli anime style, which actually has a massive, massive audience internationally, specifically overseas in Asia. I like everything I've seen from the team in the art thus far. And most importantly, I have actually gone ahead and got on a call with this team, picked their brain a little bit, which is something that I typically like to do before I share projects with anyone. And while I can't reveal too much about their plans for the future, I can tell you that I'm very excited about some of the plans that they have told me about multimedia creations for this project. I definitely think that this is one to watch that, if executed properly, will do very well. We've already started to see the following balloon on Twitter, and there is no public Discord yet. So I think this is one absolutely that you should be keeping your eye on, and that I'll probably continue to talk about. All right, now the second project I'm going to talk about today is going to be Undead Blocks. Now this is one that I know Amir has talked about before, that I've talked about before, and I thought it was worth bringing up because this does mint, I think, and by the time you've seen this video, this project will already have begun to roll out, I believe. Now this is a project that really caught my attention because if you follow me, if you tune into any of my Champs Table spaces on Twitter, you know that I'm always talking about P2E and that I'm always looking for projects that have a compelling P2E game ready to play before the mint. Moreover, I'm looking for projects that have an actual interesting looking and playable P2E game before they mint. Undead Blocks has been particularly interesting to me because of how good the gameplay looks. Now, of course, there's always a margin for error with these things. We don't know until it actually releases. But if you don't know, Undead Blocks is essentially blockchain Call of Duty Zombies. The gameplay looks very solid. And I always talk about being bullish on things that we already know works. You look at something like NFT Worlds, right? We knew before NFT Worlds launched that people love playing Minecraft. We know that, for example, I used to literally play Minecraft Hunger Games whenever I was like 12 years old. I knew that was fun. So if I could look at NFT Worlds coming out that is essentially allowing people to play Minecraft Hunger Games in these created worlds, but also earn a token that they can exchange for real world value, that intuitively is something that I can see doing well. When I look at Undead Blocks, I know people like playing Call of Duty Zombies and games of that nature. Now we're taking something that I already know works and integrating the benefits of NFT economies, right? Tradable items, tokens that I'm sure people will set up liquidity pools for, things that entice people to play and push them to continue to play the game beyond simply earning cosmetics that are locked away and siloed away in this game's respective ecosystem. All of those things lead me to believe that this is a game that can be very successful. We also have seen organizations like Animoca Brands invest in them in their seed round, which is a big green flag for a game like this. So this is one that I do anticipate will do fairly well, that I'm really looking forward to watching roll out, and that I think if you are interested in P2E NFT ecosystems at all, you should be looking at.
You know, I love that you brought up Undead Blocks. Dark Echelon has actually partnered with Undead Blocks for an in-game skin, which is sick. So just wanted to mention that to everyone. So Undead Blocks, I spoke to their team also. Seems like a very competent team on the side of knowing what the heck they're doing to create a really cool game. So I really hope that project does well. Again, this is not financial advice, guys. You just have to watch the market. You have to watch as things perform in real time. And then from there, you can make your decision if you want to invest into it or not. So with that being said, Champ, what is the last project that you are really looking forward to?
Yeah, Bing Bong. The third project I'm going to talk about today is going to be Possessed. Now, this is a project that if you're watching the channel, you probably already know about. This is a project that I've actually been watching and talking about from the very inception. As soon as I saw the initial art preview, I was hooked on this project. I know we talked a little bit earlier about expecting more than art out of a project from a utility perspective, but this is the case where I look at the art and am so enticed that it keeps my attention, and that I think has the potential to build a super, super strong online brand. Because at the end of the day, if something looks really good as a profile picture, that does go a long way for creating brand awareness online, specifically on Twitter and Discord. This is a project that I think is doing that very, very well. They are, however, doing it in a very unique way. They all have this GIF style wherein they essentially transform and smoothly alternate between a normal and then a quote unquote possessed version with all these crazy traits. It's super cool. It's super well done. Their marketing team seems like they really know what's going on. I have spoken to the team over here as well, and I liked what they were all about. They told me that they weren't trying to do just regular Twitter giveaways, and that they were rather trying to foster a more interactive and involved community. We've seen them run all the way up to 85,000 followers. I don't see this stopping anytime soon. And while this may sound like a pretty bold prediction, I think that if this mint continues to not come out for the next few months, we could see this reach multiple 100,000 follower count, astronomical hype levels, and one that if they're still chances to get in on, get whitelisted for, would really behoove you to do so. This is probably the one that's most likely that you already know about because it does have quite a bit of hype, but there is, of course, still room to get in because it hasn't minted yet. This is one that if you're not already watching, you definitely should be, that I am personally excited for. Amir, I think you're aware of this project as well. Can't wait to see this roll out, you know?
I'm personally excited about that project as well. So Champ, I think those are 3 really good solid picks there. If you guys want to check out any new projects that are coming up very soon, obviously check out those 3 picks and do some research on them and figure out if you really want to be a part of that project. But obviously, Champ, I think that covers all of our questions and all of my questions that I had today. I think this video is super insightful for anyone who's new to NFTs or for anyone that's even in the NFT space for the past couple of months. I think this covers a lot of people's questions. So Champ, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Hopefully we can do this again. And guys, sneak peek, if you guys are part of Champs Only or Dark Echelon, hey, maybe, Champ, maybe.
Win collab, bro.
When collab, guys. I don't know. Hey, guys, possibly. We don't know. We'll just be looking forward to constantly growing. And Champ, just thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Thank you so much for having me, my friend. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. And let's do it again. Peace.
Peace out, guys. Have a good one.